Hi, this is Danelle Al, CMO at Ordr, and I wanted to just give you a very quick 15-minute overview of the Ordr platform because I believe we're highly differentiated in our ability to secure cyber-physical systems. And just as a refresher, our framework is see, know, and secure. See every connected device, included traditional devices, as well as IoT, IoT, OT, cyber physical systems, know every risk, vulnerability, and anomaly, and then finally create proactive, reactive, retrospective policies to respond and secure every device in the network. So let's start with this Ordr dashboard that you see here. When a user, a security user, a device user, a networking or IT user logs on to the platform, the first thing that they'll see is this dashboard with details about every connected device. And every insight here is actually automated and provided by Ordr. So this is provided and does not require any programming on the part of the customer. And the reason why we do that is that it's meant to answer questions that the security, networking, or device owners might have, such as how many devices do I have that are running outdated operating systems? Are there any devices that are using specific administrative protocols? Are there any devices that showed up recently on the network within the past 14 days or have been offline in the past 24 hours? And are there devices from a specific manufacturer if they were either looking for it for a specific reason, or if there's a security incident associated with a specific manufacturer? Now, you can also ensure that the right people have access to the right data via this data shaper here that filters information across the entire dashboard. So you can filter down into the devices that are located in specific regions, specific types of devices, specific types of traffic or access method. And this really allows you then to filter such that the user only sees the devices that they're responsible for or the devices that they care about. Now, one of the really unique differentiators with the Ordr platform is that we provide very comprehensive understanding of the risks associated with the device, as you can see here in the security tab. And what we do that's really unique is the ability to understand both the internal and external threats. And you can see the details here where we provide a view of external communications to different potentially malicious sites like command and control. And then we also provide an understanding of and inspect the east-west traffic. So you can understand when there are exploits, when there's malware activity, when there are specific threats associated with east-west traffic. Our Ordr sensor, when it's deployed in the network, actually does include an integrated IDS. And then the third card here is vulnerabilities. And this could be some of the examples we showed earlier, devices with outdated operating systems or have ICS cert alerts. This we can tie into manufacturing databases, governmental recalls like FDA recalls, for example. And then we also issue security warnings for some of the risks that security teams may not be aware of. For example, devices that have weak passwords or have certificates that are expiring or have an open port. And then finally, this last tab here is an Ordr advisory. And so what we do is that this is a special section for key security issues in the headlines that are applicable to connected devices, cyber physical systems. So when the board asks, am I vulnerable to print nightmare, or am I vulnerable to Ripple 20 or Log4j? The security teams have a response here. So let's dive now into a specific device to see the information that we provide. This device list here can be filtered down. You can enable a variety of different filters. You can also have different views. For example, if you needed to patch a specific device, it might be very useful to have a picture grid view so that you can see what the device itself looks like. Let's dive into a device here that might be interesting with a risk level of medium. Let's go into a control and monitoring device here. This is the Census Scientific device. You can see that all these details now about this device, MAC address, manufacturer, model number, serial number, classification, as well as the connectivity of this device, so physical and network location. So the way that Ordr does this is from deep packet inspection of the network traffic, but we also enrich the device data that we get via DPI with threat intelligence feeds, vulnerability database insights, and then we use machine learning to classify those devices and then also enable different risk scores for every device. And these risk scores can be customized by the customer depending on what is important to them. So these details, as you can see, are very useful. What we can also do is we can push these details to your CMDB or CMMS. We can also pull in information that might be useful from the CMDB, such as the owner of a device, purchasing details. And then what you see here within the security incident, right? This is an example of a device that is running an outdated operating system, in this case, Windows 7. But if there are other security incidents, this would pop up as well. And there are a variety of different actions, right? Imagine that you are responding to an incident and there's something that you need to be doing. Well, you can very quickly take this device off the network, change it to a quarantine VLAN. You can do a variety of things, block lists, shut down ports, terminate the session. But in this case, that might be a little too much, right? This device is running an outdated operating system. So ideally, well, you can't patch it, but ideally, if it's working correctly and it's an important function, it delivers an important function within the network, you want to have it stay in the network. And so the best thing might be to enable zero trust policies for this device, so sort of baseline the appropriate behavior, the good behavior for this device, and implement policies to allow it to do just that and nothing else. And so this is where the Ordr ability, again, another differentiator, the Ordr ability to understand network flows and how the device is actually behaving in the network is extremely important. There's a Sankey diagram of how the device is communicating, but we also, with our flow genome, actually risk rate every single flow here. And so this, via our machine learning and behavioral analytics, is the baseline for the zero trust policies. So we can easily convert what you saw here into this table, and then we can perform the appropriate actions to enable these zero trust policies. So let me show you really quickly. What we can do now is add these flows to the baseline. I'm going to go ahead and add these to the baseline. And then what you can see here, I've added 2 devices to the baseline. And now I can then generate a policy. And of course, I just did 2, right? But I can basically add them all. in this case, these policies, you can see we now translate it to the native language of the network or security infrastructure that you have, be it, in this case, the checkpoint firewall. It could be Cisco ICE NAC solution. It could be a switch. It could be Palo Alto network firewalls. And you can see, because we've automated this process, the customer can then choose to either copy paste, or they can choose to, using our APIs, actually push automatically these policies to the security and networking infrastructure. So this is an example of a proactive zero trust policy. And our retrospective policy basically allows us to go back and look from 90 to 365 days. When there's a new IOC, we can go back and look at the devices that have been communicating to a new domain, for example, a newly identified domain that is potentially malicious. Another unique aspect of Ordr is our ability to actually help you visualize traffic patterns and very quickly identify anomalies. So in this case, this is a constellation diagram that allows us to see the traffic analysis between groups of devices and groups of devices to the internal intranet, as well as the external communication. So what you see here, the outer ring is basically the external internet groups that can include maybe solar gate sites, dark site sites, maybe prohibited IPs that are what you've pulled together, that your security teams pulled together. The middle ring here are classification groups, so different groups of devices, physical security devices, industrial devices, and then internal ring is intranet groups. And so very quickly you can see, okay, are there any groups of devices that are communicating to prohibited IPs or dark site sites or solar gate sites? You can also customize these groupings and create your own profiles and start to look at the traffic flows between your customized profiles. And this is very useful for our manufacturing customers, for example, if they're looking and seeing, is there proper segmentation between different layers of the Purdue model, or is there appropriate segmentation between the OT environment and the IT and IoT environment? This allows you to do that and also dive into VLANs or subnets. Are there medical devices? Are there cyber physical systems? Are there manufacturing control systems within the guest VLAN that somehow was accidentally put in the wrong VLAN or the wrong subnet? So this allows you to do all of that. So hopefully, as you can see from the Ordr platform, we have a very comprehensive platform that spans see, know, secure, very comprehensive set of features for not only discovering what you have in the network, but also understanding the risks, and then also closing the loop and making sure that you can secure the devices that are of high risk and vulnerable, whether it's proactive, reactive, or retrospective policies. Thank you so much for your time.